Okay, it basically is, yeah, you're trying to get a random sample. And we have all these items 1 through 30. Now we're gonna use this random number table. Now, we could use these accounts, but it would be almost impossible to match those up with a random number table. So sometimes if you just do it numerically, it's. You can actually use random number table. So anyway, so this one we use the first two, and you saw this in the video. We use the first two columns. Video. And the whole idea is to find 1 through 30. And pick those out as a random sample. And again, this is a random sample, but anyone would pick that same random sample, which is important so that it can be replicated. So that someone else can just go to the same table, pick the same item number and all that. Okay, so we're looking for items between 1 and 30. So as you go down the first two columns here, this first one will work. Blue. So 0-3 means we'll pick the first that's between 1 and 30. 46 is too big. 51 is too big, and 32 is too big. 11 is between 1 and 30. 14 is. Let me zoom in here a little bit. 18 is. 91 is too big. There is no 91. There is a 28. Okay, so these are the 5 items we're going to pick, and they're random. But now, again, the beauty of the number table is that we can also, someone else would pick, will pick a random sample to be the exact same random sample. Okay, so copy these. Down here. Three. Okay. $14. $18. 28. Okay, so this is the book amount over here. So this is what the client gave us. Client said that these are worth this amount. When we go audit them, we would find out that they're worth this amount. Now, some of them are the same, some of them aren't, but yeah, so this is what the client gave us. Now, and when we went to investigate, this is what we came up with. So we're going to total those. And find an average for each one. Turn it on mute.
So the book amount that I calculated is $33,795.
Yep. And same thing over here.
$32,395.
3832385.
395.
Okay. Okay, so we'll get those two, then we're gonna divide by 5. For each one. So 6, 7.
So 67.59 for the book, and then 64.79 for the audit.
Okay, so this is the book amount. This is the book average, as I say, in the audit average. So what is it? These are in dollars, by the way. Ah. Oh. Okay, so here's the book average and here's the audit average. So this is what we're going to use to split it up over the entire population. So again, that's not me. So we're going to take a small amount. We use a sample of 5, and we're going to project it over the entire population of 30. And so this is in all sampling you project it, if it's whether it's for medical or whatever. If you think you have a new medicine, you can't take all 7 billion people in the world to take the medicine. What you do is you get a group, they take the medicine, and then you project it and say, okay, it'll help this many people. So it's not just for what we're doing; it's for a lot of stuff. Okay, so I'm going to copy these down here just so we have the. Oh, here we go. And I'm going to copy 1 more or 2 more things down here. Oh, it's right here. So here is our 30 accounts receivable. So these 30 things, we added all those up. Oops, on the book side, it would come out to 200,000. So that's what the client says that they have in accounts receivable. So what we're going to do is, oh, this is a better one than I sent out before. Does yours look like this?
Yeah.
Oh, good. I was using an archaic one before. I thought I had something that looks like this. Mine was all lousy looking. Okay, so now the mean per unit. Mean, it just means average. So the question is, whose average do we want to use? The client's average that they came up, of their amounts or ours. And we're gonna use ours because ours are presumed to be what they call more persuasive. And this is true in all auditing, whether, for finance statement, whatever, the information you get by your, from your own calculations, your own observations, that's more persuasive than someone giving you something or someone telling you something. So what you do is the most persuasive evidence. In other words, this audit average is more persuasive than this book average. This book average someone gave us. They gave us the book amounts. Whereas this, we went out and calculated. Okay, so we're going to use the audit average. This. And our population size is 30 accounts. And so we're going to say every account to be the same as our average. This is our average count. Everyone should be first 30, so we're going to multiply that out.
$194,370.
Yeah, so I got 2. Okay, so 194. So this is our, using this method, this would be our, what we project as the value. They're saying that it's worth 200,000. We came up that it's worth 194,370. Okay, so let's see here. Copy that now. The total book value is 200,000. We don't need to underline. Our total projected value is this. Sure what happened there, but and the difference projected misstatement is the difference between those two. $5,630. You want to check that every now and then. Say, how'd you get this number? I did it wrong. That's how I got that. All right, so so the misstatement is the difference between these two. It's 200 minus that would give us 5,630, I think.
So basically what they projected is overstated.
Yes, that's exactly right. Yep. It is overstated by 5,630.
Okay.
Now, when you're doing auditing, there's you're looking for things that are material, what things are making a difference. And we can argue about whether 5,000 is material or not. But we should all get the same 5,000. So when you're going through this, we say that when you do testing, everything you do in auditing must be repeatable. So they can come in, they'll pick the same items using the same table that we did. They can pick the same items. They'll come up with the same misstatement. Now, whether that's material or not, that's a judgment call. So, and if you take the CPA exam, they don't get into they don't have you make the judgment call. It's judgment, right? I mean, you can't argue for it or against it, any kind of, I mean, you can make arguments for it and against it in a rational way, but there's really no way to grade that. So, but they will ask you, what is the misstatement? Is it overstated or understated? And that'll be the same for everybody. Okay. All right, so using the mean per unit one, it would come out to predicted misstatement of 5,630. Okay, ratio estimation. Ratio estimation says that everything is off by a ratio. And in other words, big things have big errors, small things have small errors. So. Copy this down here. So for instance, a $50 account probably won't have a $1,000 error. $50 accounts, you know, we probably wouldn't have that big of an $80,000 account might have a $1,000 error. Probably a lot more stuff in a $80,000 account. So ratio estimation says, okay, big things will be up by big amounts, small things will be up by small amounts. Okay, so we take this, we take the audit over the book, and if you ever forget, it's alphabetical, A over B. So we're gonna take this. Divide it by that. We're gonna multiply it by the total book value. Oh, it's right here, right? And this will be a projected value. So we're saying there's a ratio that these things are off by. All right, I got 91, 7. I'm around off nearest dollar, 715.
Okay, I got the same thing.
Okay, good. So this will be, so this is our projected value of it. We're saying, okay, you know, everything is off by a ratio, not necessarily everything's the same amount. So we're gonna put this in as our projected value. Projected misstatement. Every time.
So that'd be 8,285.
Okay, yeah, so that's the difference there. Yeah, so this would be, the misstatement is. Now notice that, you know, depending on what method you use, you can come up with a different misstatement. And this would be, what we're saying is worth 191, the auditors say that, the client says it's worth, you know, whoever we're auditing says it's worth 200,000.
So again, it's overstated.
Yep. Yeah, they have a 8,285 too much. And by the way, one of the things that on the CPA exam, a lot of times they'll have multiple choice questions, and this will be, you know, overstated by this, understated by it, whatever. Okay. Last one is a little bit wacky in that it's the difference estimation. So you take. And the idea is that everything is off by the same. Sure, how I get this laid out. Looks like it's two account or two different. I don't know, doesn't matter. Okay, so let's just take the so this is the book average. Oops. Audit average, do audit first. Well, that didn't work out. Okay. And then take the book average. And this will give us a difference. So the difference is. $80. If you're subtracting those, it'd be a negative 280. In other words, what we're saying is that every item is overstated by $280. Oops. Right, the audit is more than the book. So everything, the difference is 280. So we're gonna say everything in the whole sample, all 30 items are overstated by 30, whatever that is. 8,400. This one's a little weird too. You'll notice that this gives us the projected misstatement rather than the projected value. So this is the misstatement. So you kind of do the misstatement first on this one. There's a couple quirky things about this one. I'll tell you later. But the first thing is we get the projected misstatement first. Okay, now each of these accounts, are they overstated or understated? Of the book accounts.
So what do you mean? So like the difference between the book average and the audit average, like if they're,
Yeah, is the book average overstated or understated?
well, if you're going like you said, and the audit average is more correct, then technically the book average is overstated.
Correct. Yep. So this is overstated. Yeah, and you're going again, and you said it exactly right, that this is. They're overstating it. We assume that this audit average is correct. That's, that's not that in auditees, it would be called more persuasive. But this is the one you assume is correct. So this is the one that's incorrect, and this will be, the difference between those two. Okay, so the total book value is 200,000, and this is a predictive misstatement, and it's an overstatement. What would the projected value be if we're saying 200,000 is overstated by 8,400?
So it'd be 191,600.
Yep. And this is a weird one. This is a weird one for a number of reasons. First of all, you get the misstatement first. You have to back into the projected value. Not only that, it's sort of the opposite assumption that is made for this one. Ratio estimation says big things, big errors, small things, small errors. This one says everything is off by the same amount. That if it's misstated, it's going to be misstated by the same amount. So that's why this one is, it's a little strange for a couple of reasons. I'll be absolutely honest with you. I did auditing for 3 years at Navistar, and then I went to US Steel. I never used this one. We never had a sample that matched up with it. Now, if you do have a sample that matches up with it, that everything is off by the same amount. A $50 account is going to be misstated by the same amount as a $50,000 account. That's kind of what this method indicates. If you do run into a sample like that, this is the one to use. But I never had a sample like that.
So are the first two like more common compared to this last one then?
I would say, yeah. And if you ask me, the one that usually fits the best is going to be the ratio estimation. Now, don't quote me on that, because it really matters on which one population is more like. You know, let's go to the end here for a second. Well, let's ask Hannah. D is pretty easy question. All three classical sampling methods will have the same estimate for the projected value. Is it false? Right there, all came up with different amounts. But if you go to the very end of this handout, this is probably as good time as any to do it. You know, when do you use mean per unit, ratio estimation, or difference estimation? It depends on the population. So mean per unit estimation is best used when all of the items relation are of a similar value. So when all of them are about the same amount, mean per unit is a good one to use. Probably doesn't happen all that much in business. I can't remember if I ever used the mean per unit. I probably did. But if everything's kind of the same amount, well, for instance, if I was at US Steel, you know, they have steel for different grades. If you're doing one for the area, all the steel in the same grade, it probably has the same value. You know, so prime number 2 steel would have the same, you know, all those that have a similar value, you could use this mean per unit. And you know, and if you're wondering why they even have that, there are things, you know, especially in nature, there's things that are like that. If you were to, let's say you want to know how many pounds of ducks are on this lake, you know, you have 300 ducks on the lake. You can go take 10 ducks, weigh them, you know, put them back in the water, and you know, ducks weigh about the same as what ducks. I don't know what ducks weigh, but you know, they all kind of weigh the same. Mean per unit would be fine to do a sample like that because, you know, they're probably similar in size and all that. So it might not be quite as useful for financial, but as far as, you know, the sampling for other things. Okay. Ratio estimation. Oops. The best, so ratio estimation is best used with items in the population have misstatements in other words,
So that would be more of what you're talking about. The bigger the account, the bigger the potential mistake, smaller the account, smaller the potential mistake.
yeah. So smaller values, smaller misstatements, and or bigger ones, bigger misstatements. And again, most of the stuff is like that. You know, it'd be unusual to have a $50 account that's off by $20,000. It's a several $1 million account, probably could be. And difference estimation is when all the items in the sample are likely to be off by the same amount. Oops, not the same amount, the same amount. Yeah, so. An example of this would be like, when, let's say that you have let's say a standard handling charge of $10, and sales always often do not include a $10 handling charge. So, if it's a $50,000 order, if there's an error, it's probably gonna be the handling charge. If there's a $50, account, if it's off, it's most likely gonna be the handling charge. So if you have something that is off, all the accounts are off by the same amount, this is a good one to use. And because of that, when you take the CPA exam, they'll sometimes ask you which method is appropriate. That's not an unusual question. And it's based on what the population is. It's one of those things that they say, well, the auditor doesn't really choose that, the population does. In my work, the ratio estimation was one we used far and away more than anything else. Doesn't mean though that in other situations that mean per unit or difference estimation could be used. So, and notice that these all have the same sample. So it's the same sample that you took for, these. We use exactly the same sample. It's just, the same averages, but it's how you project it over the entire population that changes. And again, based on the sample, what the likely misstatements are, that's how you kind of use that to gauge whether you're going to, which method you're going to use. Question on that?
No, makes sense.
Okay, you want to do one more, or you think you're good?
I think as far as that goes, I'm good.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, so do you want to just go ahead, well, it's like, so you can try these on your own?
Okay.
If you want, I mean, we can go through one. You want to go through one more?
No, I think I'm okay with that. I mean, that's.
Yeah, it's not terribly hard. It's just, you just find the averages, and it's how you project them over the entire population.
Yeah, that's simple.
Well, and truthfully, the one that is the difficult one is this difference ones. People almost always, if they ever get any of these wrong, this is when they get wrong, the difference.
Mhm.
And so, we go with it, but here's what we can do. If you want to, we're going to, if you want to, go ahead and give these a try. And then next week, when do we meet next Monday?
Monday.
So on Monday, I put up the answers and see if you have them, you can check them. You can also just email me, say, I got this, and this, and what, is this right? If you're unsure.
Okay.
And also one more thing that I told them last week, and that is, let's say you turn it in and you realize you did something wrong. You can turn it in again. There is no, and however you turn it in, you can take pictures of it if you're doing it by hand. doing it on the document, you just save the document, turn that in. The only thing that you can't turn in zip files or page files. Zip files are Windows and page files are Apple. And the reason you can't turn those in is because Blackboard doesn't know what to do with them. And then it keeps going in a loop, actually. This keeps saying you're submitting. It keeps going to that forever. But yeah, you can, because it's unlimited amount that you can put in there, you can take 10 pictures and put it in there. So if you want to work it on a notebook paper, take 10 pictures, that's fine too. So how
Okay.
to do it is fine. Yeah, but if you have any questions too, just feel free to contact me. You know, I'll go over anything you want to go over.
Okay. So when I was going through Blackboard, like I noticed there weren't like specific due dates.
Well, yeah, it has to do with this class.
Okay.
This is a it was what they call asynchronous class.
Mm-hmm.
It's not my favorite way to teach, by the way, but it basically everything has to be in by October 22nd.
Okay.
Now, I would strongly encourage you to keep up, and I've wrestled with putting the due dates on earlier, and I could do that. The only thing I want people to know though is that the due dates aren't really the due dates, because truthfully, everything just has to be in by October 22nd. You know, so for instance, if a due date goes by, you say, "Oh, I can't turn it in." Yeah, you can turn it in all the way up to October 22nd. But what I can do is put it in the grade to date, you know, earlier. So, and that's usually what I do after I start getting some tests in, then I'll put it through the grade to date, and so people have an idea of where they're at.
Okay. So as long as we start turning stuff into you, basically once you grade it, you'll update the grade book.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And again, you know, it is. I plan on going through these lectures every week, 2 days a week. So I'm going to kind of teach it for those that want to kind of teach it as a little more of a normal class. Just because some people are taking this method, you know, are using the asynchronous method just because that's the only one that's offered, even though they don't necessarily want it. So anyway, yeah, so I'll go through it, you know, the same way as I go a regular class. But as far as the due dates are concerned, truthfully, everything is due by October 22nd.
Okay.
And you can turn it in, you know, if you turn in everything on the first day, that'd be fine. If you turn anything in the last day, it's fine. So.
Okay. Other than that, I think I'm okay right now. So then Monday we can kind of go over things.
Yeah, and you know, I could let's see something. Sure, I got the answers on it. It might be a little bit different form, but the same one. So if you want to take a look at this first one, if you're not just kind of, you know, you can just take a screenshot of it. So this is. Oh. Two of them are the same thing. By two here. Why does this look funny? It doesn't look right. Oh, this one got pushed onto another page. Huh. Yeah, there we go. So this is page 5. Oh, the page is right. This is the second one. This will be the third one. I made a screenshot of that.
Okay.
And I can give you the others. And so this is number. Oh, that's not, this is number 4. That's what number 4 would look like.
Okay.
There's number 5. There is a number 5. I'm sorry. This is the last one, I promise.
Okay.
And the one on here that's kind of the strange one is problem 2, I think. Take a look. No, it's problem number 3. Problem number 3 is kind of weird in that the you look at the mean per unit and it's overstated. The other 2 are understated. So it is possible that you could even get errors in different directions. So this is number 3. This is again, this one's kind of wacky in that the first one is overstated. The next 2 are understated.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Again, if if you have any questions on it, feel free. You can email me. We have and we can also do other Zoom sessions. It doesn't have to be on Monday or Thursday. So if there's another day that works for you, let me know and we can do it then.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
Okay. Well, you have a good evening.
Thanks. You too,
Bye.
Professor.
Bye.